When I was 7, my older brother was too busy chasing after a girl from a poor family, which led to me being abducted. By the time I finally made it home, the student from a poor family had already become a fake heiress. She was wearing an expensive princess dress, pinching the bridge of her nose as she looked at me with disdain. She smells so bad, could she have a contagious disease? Just like that, the way my parents looked at me changed, and my older brother's face was filled with disgust. Why did you come back to disrupt our lives? It was only then that I realized the so-called fake heiress was also my sister-in-law. In the end, I was tormented to death by the fake heiress, while my parents and brother turned a blind eye. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back when I was 5 years old. That year, my parents' rivals set their sights on my brother, intending to kidnap him to force my parents to give in. This time, I chose to turn a blind eye. You good-for-nothing brother, and you biased parents, go to hell together. Little girl, go tell your parents to give up on this project, or your brother will never come back. A middle-aged man wearing a baseball cap and a mask glared at me menacingly. He was still clutching my brother tightly in his hand. At that time, my older brother was still just a little boy, not tall, not big, and not malicious. There was no malice in the way he looked at me, only fear and pleading. The jeans, which had an Ultraman design embroidered on them, were soaked in the middle. My brother had wet his pants. I feigned a look of terror and nodded frantically, just like a chick pecking at grain. The kidnapper seemed quite pleased as he walked off with my brother in his arms. A black Honda. He didn't even bother to cover the license plate. How can someone like that be a kidnapper? It smells so good. What is that? I took a deep sniff, and following the scent, I found myself at the entrance to a small grocery store, where the colorful cotton candy looked absolutely delicious. By the time I got home with the marshmallows, my parents were already back. When they saw that I was alone, they asked, puzzled, "Where's your brother?" I took small licks of the marshmallow and said in a babyish voice, "I don't know. Marshmallows are yummy. Do you want some?" Mom and Dad searched the house for a while, then walked around the neighborhood a few times, but couldn't find my brother anywhere. They started to panic and called the police. But in those days before surveillance cameras, tracking down human traffickers was extremely difficult. The police officer asked, puzzled, "That doesn't make sense. Security in your complex is usually very good. How could human traffickers end up here?" I asked the security guard, too, and he said he hadn't seen anyone suspicious coming or going. Mom slumped to the floor and wept bitterly, while Dad tore at his hair. Utterly heartbroken, I sat on the flower bed, swinging my legs, my big eyes fixed on them without blinking. They looked so sad and heartbroken. So why were they so unmoved when they watched me die right in front of them in my past life? Well, my brother's life is a life, but mine isn't. In that case, let's all just give up on life. That same day, missing person posters for my brother were plastered all over the streets and alleys, and the story was even featured on TV, with a reward of 30,000 yuan. In those days, 30,000 yuan was a lot of money. I had been wondering if the people who kidnapped my brother would come forward on their own. But as soon as the missing person notice was posted, I knew my brother would never come back because there was absolutely no chance of a private settlement. Countless cases, big and small, happen every day. So my brother's case has been put on hold for the time being. In my past life, because I remembered the license plate number, the police were able to find my brother easily. My brother's way of repaying me was to let me get kidnapped when I was 7. After all, they're siblings, they share the same blood. It's only fair to return the favor, isn't it? As my intelligence and talent gradually became apparent, I would occasionally mention money-making ventures, which helped them gradually recover from the pain of losing their son. Dad ruffled my hair happily. "Ning Ning, you really are a lucky charm. You've helped Mom and Dad make a lot of money." I giggled. I saw on TV that rich people live in really big houses with swimming pools out front. They're so grand. Mom and Dad, let's move into a bigger house, too. All the people living nearby are rich. Maybe we can network with them and make even more money. I've heard people say that your social circle is the most important thing. My parents were tempted by what I said. They exchanged a glance after all. The family's income was now enough to buy a villa, but they were still worried about my older brother. What if he turned up? So I'm going to put a stop to their plans and completely erase my brother's presence from their lives. Dad nodded decisively and said, "All right. Let's listen to Ning Ning. Our circle of friends is the most important thing." The next day, my parents went to look at houses. And in the end, they spent a fortune on a villa in the city center. Surrounded by influential figures who were either wealthy or prominent, I'm cute and well-behaved. So I took some cookies my mom baked herself to visit a few neighbors, and I quickly became friends with them. As a result, Mom and Dad landed quite a few projects. Although they quoted low prices and didn't make any profit, they were able to build connections. I took the opportunity to say, "Mom and Dad, you're both so busy with work. And it's so lonely for me at home all by myself. Why don't we adopt an older brother so he can play with me?" Why my brother? Of course. The goal was to completely replace my brother's position in my parents' hearts, so that when he eventually came back, my parents who favored sons over daughters won't immediately give him all the credit, leaving me to reap none of the benefits. I wouldn't even think about letting that happen. Now that my parents are completely at my beck and call, they certainly wouldn't say no. You can't choose your parents, so no matter how useless they are, there's nothing you can do about it. But since he gets to choose his older brother himself, he'll naturally pick one he's happy with. I have a phobia of stupidity, so my brain just doesn't work right. Ugly ones won't do either. They'd put me off my food. The most important thing is to have a good personality and a kind heart. I don't want another ungrateful older brother like that. After visiting every orphanage in the city, I finally found one that met all my requirements, especially that hint of ferocity in its eyes, which really pleased me. In his past life, he'd seen plenty of both humans and ghosts, so it would be hard to control him once he grew up. But when he was young, raising him was very rewarding. My brother is missing. Can you be my brother? I took a big white rabbit milk candy out of my pocket and placed it in his slender hand, saying in a soft, sweet voice, "I have lots of toys and snacks, and I can share half of them with my big brother. Would my big brother like to come home with me?" No little boy would ever turn down such a cute little girl like me, and he was no exception. He carefully took the candy from my hand, but didn't touch my hand as if he were afraid of getting it dirty. But I took his hand on my own and happily showed him off to my parents. "Mom and Dad, I like this older brother." My parents were also pleased with his appearance. After asking him a few more questions, they found him to be well-behaved and polite, so they gave their approval. I gave him a new name, Lu Xingchen, because his eyes are as beautiful as the stars. He lives across the hall from me. His room has the same layout as mine. My parents had originally intended to save it for my older brother, but now he's living there. At mealtime, he also sat below his father, the spot where his older brother used to sit. Gradually, he really did take his older brother's place. Mom and Dad had gotten into the habit of including him in everything they did, and even in private conversations. They would refer to him as our son. My brother was a bit shy at first, but under my guidance, he became outgoing and confident. But perhaps the fact that she appeared cute and vulnerable in front of him for the first time left such a deep impression on him. As a result, he really treated me like a little sister and looked out for me. Every night, she would tell me fairy tales and lull me to sleep. I'll put the food I don't like onto his plate so he'll eat it. Even when I accidentally bumped into the table, he would have given anything to take that pain for me. Before she knew it, she was in high school, and Lu Xingchen, surrounded by love, began to shine, causing a stir the moment she set foot on campus. Although he's older than me, he's in the same class as Medhat was both my parents and his idea, since it would keep me safer that way. At the same time, an old acquaintance, Gu Jiajia, showed up, the very person responsible for torturing me to death in my previous life. The fake heiress. She looked delicate and fragile. Every smile and frown about her had an air of vulnerability that stirred my sympathy, especially her big, watery eyes, which made it hard not to feel compassion for her. Xingqian. Take a look at 3 o'clock. Is that girl pretty? Lu Xingqian followed my gaze and saw Gu Jejia, wearing a white dress and sporting long, straight black hair. Confused, he replied earnestly. I don't know. Maybe she's the type guys like. Not only is she the type guys go for, but she's also the type that drives her older brother wild so much so that, for her sake, he would watch his own little sister suffer and struggle right before his eyes, trapped in a state where she can neither live nor die. I licked my lips and asked, "Is this your type?" A flash of disgust crossed his eyes, but his expression remained polite. I don't like it. I snorted. So what kind do you like? He looked down at me, raised an eyebrow, and said, I like women who are spoiled, willful, domineering, and unreasonable. Me. Gu Jejia is in my class. She didn't get in through the regular admissions process. She was admitted as a special admissions student, that is, a student from a low-income family. Every year, elite schools admit a few students from low-income families to highlight the school's fine tradition of not discriminating based on a student's family background. In reality, however, these students are often bullied here, since the only ones who can attend this school are either heirs to a fortune or the children of the wealthy. In her past life, because her older brother had always protected her, she was a force to be reckoned with here. But this time, my brother isn't around. I'll see how she handles it. The first class was all about self-introductions, and everyone took turns stepping up to the podium. They were all very confident and didn't seem nervous at all. They've all been through a lot, so naturally they aren't afraid. When it was Gu Jejia's turn, her face flushed with embarrassment, and she hesitated, too shy to go up on stage. Too shy. The teacher smiled and said, It's okay. This is the first time we've all met, so don't be nervous. Let's give a big round of applause. The students all clapped, and when Lu Xingqian saw that I wasn't clapping, he didn't either. But after 3 rounds of applause, everyone was starting to get a little impatient. Gu Jejia still hadn't come on stage. She bit her lip, her face flushed even redder, and tears welled up in her eyes. What a disgrace. After that incident, everyone naturally kept their distance from Gu Jejia, finding her quite off-putting. She's always crying and whining. Anyone who doesn't know her would think someone was picking on her. It's really gross. Exactly. It's all because she held us up. Now I don't even have time to go to the bathroom after class. It's so annoying. When we're assigning seats later, make sure you don't put me next to her. That kind of bad luck will mess with my energy. They weren't speaking in hushed tones, so Gu Jejia heard everything clearly and ran to the office to tell the teacher on them. This kind of behavior might be acceptable at an ordinary school, but at a private school, it's undoubtedly asking for trouble. Given Gu Jejia's special circumstances, please be a little more understanding toward her. Is there anyone in the class who would like to sit next to Gu Jejia? She's a little shy, but if someone looks out for her, she'll get used to the school environment in no time. After waiting for what seemed like an eternity, no one raised their hand. Instead, a wave of snickers broke out. The teacher cleared her throat and asked, Gu Jejia, who would you like to sit with? At that moment, Gu Jejia stopped being shy and pointed at Lu Xingqian, saying, I want to sit with Brother Xingqian. The way she called him Brother Xingqian was so coy that anyone who didn't know them might think they were close. The boys let out a chorus of jeers, while the girls all looked at him with utter disdain. The teacher nodded. All right, Lu Xingqian. You'll sit with Gu Jejia from now on. Please take good care of her. Lu Xingqian flatly refused. Sorry, teacher. I'm allergic to tears. The classroom was quiet for a few seconds, then suddenly burst into laughter. I let out a little smirk. He does have a bit of a sharp tongue. The teacher furrowed his brow slightly, knowing it was just an excuse. But since he was nominally the heir to the Lu group, the teacher didn't dare offend him. So he had no choice but to find a girl who seemed easy to get along with and sit with her. After class, Gu Jejia came to find Lu Xingqian. She said pitifully, Xingqian, I didn't mean to put you in an awkward position just now. I just thought you looked so familiar, as if I'd seen you somewhere before. No wonder my brother was completely under her thumb in our past life. She really knows how to work her magic. When in the spotlight, making resolute choices satisfies a guy's ego. If that doesn't work, then behind the scenes, lower your guard and play the emotional card. If it were an ordinary guy, that would probably have been enough to win her over. But Lu Xingchen was completely unmoved. Are you a pigeon? Calling me big brother all the time. Gu Zhejia's eyes welled up again, and she bit her lip. Xingchen, do you have some kind of misunderstanding about me? Or did you hear someone say something bad about me? My family hasn't been well off since I was little. And everyone looks down on me. I just want to make a friend. I don't want to be so lonely. Lu Xingchen snorted derisively. Then you should go make friends with girls. Right? Gu Zhejia blurted out. Girls are such a hassle. I'd much rather hang out with guys. Theory straightforward. And it's just more fun. Instantly, the girls in the classroom all shouted shoo. In unison. So this innocent flower is actually a two-faced bitch. It's all about foxes from 2 years ago. Hats with all the strange stories from a Chinese studio nonsense. Lu Xingchen curled his lips into a cold smile. I don't think all girls are the way you described them back then. That is. Except for you. No matter how thick-skinned Gu Zhejia was. She couldn't stay there any longer. With her face flushed, she returned to her seat, buried her face in her arms, and burst into tears. But no one comforted her. Everyone just laughed at her. It's like a toad trying to eat a swan. Can't he see she's already rejected him so clearly? Yet he's still going out of his way to humiliate himself. You're absolutely right. Who does she think she is? Even dreaming of the heir to the Lu group. And people say girls are scheming, but I'd say she's the most scheming of them all. Lu Xingchen thought she seemed gentle and refined on the surface. But he never would have guessed she was actually a master at judging people. I propped my chin in my hand, and after enjoying the show, I asked with a smile, Xingchen, this is the first time I've seen you be so sharp-tongued. He unscrewed the lid of my thermos and motioned for me to take a sip. I don't like the people you don't like either. I took a small sip of water and chuckled softly. You're lying, you clearly don't like her yourself. He raised an eyebrow, looking somewhat surprised, and said, you figured it out. I blinked and said, why don't you like her? He thought carefully for a moment. Her eyes were full of scheming and greed. Sure enough. The brother I chose myself is so much smarter than the one I had no choice but to take. Gu Zhejia began to be isolated and ostracized. No one spoke to her anymore. And even when she tried to strike up a conversation, no one paid her any attention. She added sarcastically, I'm a girl, I am very scheming. You should look for a guy. The boy scoffed. We're no match for the heir to the Lu group. Go find him. Logically speaking, once things have come to this, she should stop causing trouble, sit quietly in class, and after a while, everyone will forgive her. But she thinks outside the box. During the basketball game, she took the initiative to bring Lu Xingchen some water. Xingchen, you're such a great basketball player. The whole school was watching, and boys from other classes were standing nearby, laughing and egging her on. It seems like she's trying to make Lu Xingchen feel morally obligated. Or perhaps she wants everyone to feel sorry for her after all. Many students from other classes don't know the full story. Lu Xingchen let out a cold laugh. No matter how well I play, it's not for your eyes. Take your eyes off me. He took a few steps, then turned back and added, I don't know how many nice older brothers you have, but I'm definitely not one of them. So please stop calling me that. Thanks. After saying that, he walked straight toward me. When he saw me standing there lazily watching the commotion, he snatched the bottle of water I'd only half drunk and took a swig. After finishing her drink, she handed me the empty bottle. Are you looking at her or at me? I took the bottle of mineral water and teased her with a smile. How come you never fall for her tricks? Lu Xingchen snorted derisively. Do you think all men in the world are fools? It's so obvious she's up to something. Wo's going to fall for that. A lot of people fell for it, like my older brother from my past life. And my mom and dad. They've seen so many people, how could they possibly fail to see through her obvious little ploy? There's only one reason. They think she's more important than me. After the basketball game, Lu Xinchin had a fan club all made up of his little female fans. When we ran into each other in the restroom, I pretended it was a coincidence and said, "That girl from our class is always pestering my brothers, totally fed up with it. How can a girl be so shameless? No matter how many times I turn her down, it doesn't work. It's really affecting my brother's studies. If only someone could stop her." Sigh. That afternoon, Gu Jejia came out of the bathroom soaking wet. She knew she had angered everyone, so she didn't dare tell the teacher. I really hate bullying at school, and I've helped other girls in the past. But whenever he saw Gu Jejia being bullied, he felt a sense of great pleasure. After being targeted for half a month, Gu Jejia finally backed down and didn't dare to pester Lu Xinchin anymore. But Lu Xinchin began to interact with Gu Jejia from time to time, allowing others to continue their misunderstanding. And so everyone kept bullying Gu Jejia. Eventually, she took the initiative to ask her teacher to transfer her to the class at the very bottom of the grade. And only then did the commotion finally die down. There's a spoiled rich kid in the class that's at the bottom of the class. He's handsome, but he's quite the womanizer. After seeing Gu Jejia go into the restroom, I strolled in slowly with the other girls in my class. Qin Yi is pretty handsome. Go ask him if he has a girlfriend. Wow. Has Miss Lu finally fallen for a mortal? But he really is handsome, and his family is wealthy, too. He must be a tough one to handle. He looks pretty wild. But that's exactly what I like. Yeah. I really like him too. I think he's even cooler than your brother. Before long, Gu Jejia started dating Qin Yi, and she would often bring him around to show off their relationship in front of me. Every time, I would turn away to keep from bursting out laughing, but she thought I was sad and upset, which only made her even more smug. Before long, the racy photos of Gu Jejia and Qin Yi began circulating in a small circle among the boys. The Qin family originally got their start in the entertainment industry, so he grew up surrounded by that environment and ended up pushing the boundaries a bit, often engaging in group activities and never turning down anyone, regardless of age, all in the name of thrills. Just as I was looking at the photos, Lu Xinchin appeared behind me, snatched my phone, and after glancing at it, his ears turned bright red. "What do you think of these things?" I chuckled softly and said, "You want to watch it too? Then let's watch it together." After Lu Xinchin saw the protagonist, he silently handed my phone back to me. Before she knew it, Gu Jejia had already had 6 abortions for Qin Yi. Her previous innocent, pitiful act had vanished, replaced by smoking, tattoos, and skirts hiked up to the top of her thighs. She had become a full-fledged little delinquent. Meanwhile, Lu Xinchin and I were doing better and better in our studies. Were ranked first and second in our grade and were considered the cream of the crop by our teachers and classmates. Every year, I host a birthday party and invite all the students in my class to attend. This helps strengthen the bonds among classmates and also provides a good opportunity for our parents to get to know each other and collaborate. At school, quite a few people are proud to attend my birthday party. This was my coming-of-age ceremony. It was a particularly grand affair, and several big names in the industry attended. I've prepared a big gift for my parents. Mom and Dad, I've been looking for you so hard. Just as my parents and my older brother were clinking glasses, the door suddenly swung open, and a shrill, heart-wrenching male voice rang out. "I'm finally home." As soon as he finished speaking, he sat down on the ground and burst into tears. He was bald, dressed in rags, and had a menacing scar on his face. Didn't look like a good person, especially since he was giving off a foul odor at that moment. Everyone silently took a few steps back, and the melodious piano music came to a halt. "Who are you?" Mom asked, puzzled. My brother immediately looked up, overcome with emotion, tears and snot streaming down his face, a sight that was both pitiful and revolting. "Mom and Dad, I'm Lu Qingjing. Have you forgotten your own son?" As he spoke, he tried to rush over and hug his mom, but she instinctively took a few steps back because of the terrible smell and quickly covered her nose. "You stink so bad," I said with a look of disgust. "Do you have some kind of contagious disease or something?" I repeated back to him, word for word, what Gu Jejia had said at the time. When my brother saw me, his eyes turned bloodshot, and he stepped forward to hit me. Lu Yining, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't be in this state. Lu Xingchen immediately stepped in front of me, his expression icy, and said, "Don't you dare pick on my little sister." I poked my head out and said innocently, "Brother, stay away from him. He looks like a convict hasn't just gotten out of prison. Has he?" Everyone silently took a few more steps back. My brother completely lost it, started flipping the table, and roared in anger. "I've only been gone for a short while, and you've already found someone to replace me. You've gone too far. I hate you." Security guards arrived promptly and subdued the older brother. But the party was also cut short, and as they left, their expressions varied. By tomorrow morning, word of what had happened that night would have spread throughout the circle. In the end, the business deal my parents and my older brother had been discussing fell through. Dad was furious. As soon as the person left, he started ranting and raving. He could have come back anytime. Why did he have to come back right now? He's completely embarrassed us. Mom rubbed her temples. It seemed the fumes had just given her a headache. This kid really did come back at the worst possible time. My brother, who had just finished his shower and was coming downstairs, turned red with anger when he heard this. "I'm your own son. Don't you care at all about how I got back here, or how I've been doing all these years? I've been dreaming about the whole family being together again once I got home. How could you treat me like this?" A burly man, 8 meters tall, was sitting on the ground, crying his eyes out. Must have been through a terrible ordeal. Unfortunately, because he had just embarrassed his parents so badly, not only did they not feel sorry for him, but they also thought he was a disgrace and a source of embarrassment. Dad waved his hand. "All right. What kind of example does a grown man set by crying all the time? Now that you're home, just stay put and don't go causing trouble out there." My brother wiped his tears and snot with his sleeve. Strands were still hanging from his nose and pointed at Lu Xingchen with a menacing look. "Get him out of here. I'm back now. And having this substitute stick around just makes me sick." Before I could even say a word, my parents said in unison, "No way." My brother was so angry that he clenched his fists tightly, and the veins on his forehead bulged. "Mom and Dad, I'm your real son." Mom reassured her. "I know. But Xingchen has gotten along so well with us over the years, and everyone really likes him." Dad added, "You should learn more from him." Hearing this, his older brother completely lost his temper and swung a punch at Lu Xingchen. Lu Xingchen shifted slightly to the side, dodging it perfectly. He then stuck out his foot and tripped his older brother. But because the sofa was blocking their view, his parents didn't notice this quick move. They just thought his older brother had lost his balance. My brother fell and started bleeding from his nose. But instead of receiving a word of comfort, he was scolded. Dad snapped, "You're such an embarrassment. If you keep this up, I'll kick you out." My brother was shaking with anger, but he didn't dare make a scene, because he realized that this home was no longer the home he remembered, and that his parents no longer loved him. That evening, while resting, my older brother looked at Lu Xingchen's large room with a malicious glint in his eyes. "From now on, I'll sleep here, and you can sleep in the guest room, since Mom and Dad weren't home." I stopped pretending and said sarcastically, "Brother, it seems you still haven't figured out your place in this family. During the time you were trafficked, Brother Xingchen had long since taken your place, not only in terms of your parents' love, but also your right to inheritance. Xingchen is handsome and outstanding. Not only is he a top student, but he's also incredibly popular. The young ladies and gentlemen in our circle all love to hang out with him. He's brought so much profit to the company. You don't seriously think your blood ties alone can make up for that, do you? Be nice to Brother Xingchen from now on, or else when Mom and Dad get old, you'll be kicked out and have to go back to living as a homeless beggar." Lu Xingchen stood quietly behind me. Though he didn't say a word, he exuded an air of intimidation. My brother was furious. He started lashing out in a fit of helpless rage, wanting to throw something but pulling his hand back, afraid that if Dad heard him, he'd really kick him out. He was grinding his back molars so hard they were about to shatter. "Fine. You too. Just you wait. After Lu Xingchen walked me back to my room, he asked, "Do you really hate your brother?" I nodded. "Yeah. I want to kill him." Lu Xingchen looked at me with a complex expression, but he didn't try to comfort me. I licked my lips. "Xingchen, don't you think Gu Jejia and my brother are a perfect match?" Lu Xingchen thought for a moment, then nodded and said, "They're a perfect match." I let out a little smile. Just as I expected, he's the brother I chose, and he never questions any of my decisions. As the weather turned cooler, the Qin Group's days of clinging to life came to an end. It declared bankruptcy. So naturally, it no longer had the money to hang out with Gu Jejia. When Qin Yi was around, Gu Jejia was particularly arrogant and bullied quite a few classmates. Now that she no longer has anyone to protect her, everyone has started bullying her again. I had some guys surround her in the alley and beat her up, and then I played the hero and rescued her. Then, as a matter of course, he invited her over to his place. Gu Jejia was desperate for a lifeline at that moment, so naturally she wouldn't turn me down. In fact, she went out of her way to flatter me throughout the conversation. I smiled gently. What happened in the past is behind us now. Let's just be good friends from now on. Gu Jejia quickly nodded, afraid I might change my mind. I brought her a skirt and told her to go take a shower in her brother's room, since my brother had just moved in. His room was empty, just like a guest room, and he happened to come back to his room just as I was getting tired of playing video games in the garden. 5 minutes later, it was still quiet inside. I spread my hands wide. "Xingchen, you lost." Lu Xingchen handed me all of his allowance for this month. "You understand human nature better than I do." I smiled wryly. "When it comes to human nature, you know more than I do. When it comes to the nature of beasts, I know more than you do." That evening, Gu Jejia stayed for dinner, and she was back to her original White Lotus self, well-behaved and gentle. On top of that, I made her look good. Even though Jejia doesn't come from a privileged background, she studies really hard and is very dedicated. She refuses to give in to fate. She has a really great personality, and we all love hanging out with her. There are a lot of guys who are into her, too, but she's very picky. She wouldn't even give the average guy a second glance. At that moment, Lu Xingchen also took the initiative to serve her a piece of spare ribs. He added gently, "You can't eat spicy food." "But this isn't spicy." Gu Jejia was both flattered and taken aback. Her brother's eyes were filled with a determination to succeed, while I pursed my lips and struggled to suppress the smile playing at the corners of my mouth. Before long, my brother started dating Gu Jejia. At first, my parents had some reservations. They felt that Gu Jejia's family background wasn't prestigious enough for my brother. But my brother stood his ground, believing that true love is what matters most. As he said this, he shot a defiant glance at Lu Xingchen, who was looking down with a sad expression on his face. So my brother became even more resolute, remaining steadfast until his dying breath. In the end, my parents agreed. Gu Jejia, who had had 6 abortions, was prone to getting pregnant easily and soon became pregnant again. Dad was overjoyed. "Great! Just like my son. The Lu family has an heir. If she gives birth to a son, I'll give Gu Jejia $1 million as a reward." Gu Jejia's eyes lit up instantly. "Thank you, uncle." Mom gazed tenderly at her belly, her eyes brimming with joy. I took the opportunity to say, "Since Jejia is pregnant too, why don't we have a grand wedding? That way, we can introduce my brother to everyone." They were, of course, more than happy to agree, and set the wedding date for the end of the month. As I walked past the study that evening, I heard my parents whispering to each other, "Qingjing has been a waste of space all these years. She can't take over the family business. Yiling is outstanding, but she's a girl after all, so we can't hand the company over to her. If this child is a boy, he'll inherit the company. If not, we'll keep having children until we have a boy." It's true that the company owes its current success to Yining, but she's not a boy. That's just the way things are. I curled the corners of my lips. Just as I expected, just like in my past life, there's still such a strong preference for sons over daughters. Well, Then I'll give them another big gift. Although my brother and Gujeje's wedding was a bit rushed, every detail was exquisite and luxurious. I exclaimed, Xingchen, this wedding is truly beautiful. Lu Xingchen looked at the USB drive I was fiddling with and chuckled. So you're still planning to destroy it? I looked up at my older brother, who was provocatively raising his glass to me, and raised my own drink. I clinked glasses with him from a distance and took a small sip. He smiled meaningfully and said, otherwise, they wouldn't learn their lesson. The wedding march began to play softly, and my brother and Gujeje walked in hand they could be described. At a stretch, as a handsome man and a beautiful woman. Both mom and dad took the stage to give speeches, scripts written by others that were heartfelt and sincere. And their eyes welled up with tears. Lu Xingchen unwrapped a big white rabbit milk candy for me. I chuckled softly. What's the big deal? I'm not a kid anymore. He held the candy up to my mouth. It's sweet, with a bit of mischief. I stuck out my tongue and licked it, then blinked. It really is sweet. He reached out, pinched my cheek, and shoved it right in. I rubbed my jaw, which was still a little sore, and turned to head backstage. Sigh. A little wolf dog is just a little wolf dojo'll never turn into a little puppy. Once I logged into the admin panel, I said right away, you go enjoy the banquet. I'll take care of the rest. The staff member replied cheerfully, okay. Just as her brother and Gujeje exchanged rings and leaned down to kiss. The romantic video playing on the electronic screen behind them was replaced by a video of Gujeje and Qin Yi. A gasp went through the audience. My brother and Gujeje thought everyone was congratulating them, so they got even more excited. Everyone shouted, look behind you. Look behind you. After the kiss, the couple smiled and looked behind them, thinking it was a surprise their parents had prepared for them. 1 second ago, Gujeje had felt like she was at the peak of her life. The next, a chill ran through her body, and she felt as if she had fallen into an ice cave. The smile on my brother's face froze instantly, and his expression turned grim as he said, so, you've been lying to me all along. Gujeje's face went pale, and she said tremblingly, let me explain. Her brother landed a hard punch right in Gujeje's face, then kicked her in the stomach. Hurry up and tell me whose bastard you're carrying. Gujeje's snow-white dress was instantly stained red with blood. She writhed in pain and couldn't make a sound. But by then, her brother had been overcome by rage and was frantically punching and kicking her. Someone in the audience tried to go up on stage to break it up. But my brother was acting like a madman at that moment. When mom and dad came out of the bathroom and saw what was happening, they rushed onto the stage to break up the fight. But my older brother shoved them aside. Mom hit her head on a pillar. Blood gushed out, and she fainted from the shock. Dad was also punched by my older brother, knocking out his front teeth. None of the 4 security guards could stop my brother, who had gone berserk. It wasn't until the police arrived that they finally managed to subdue him. My brother was taken to the police station, and my parents and Gujeje went to the hospital. Gujeje suffered a miscarriage. She had a fractured spine and 8 broken ribs, and was in emergency treatment for 7 hours. Although the person was saved, they will be bedridden for the rest of their life. To make it easier to use the bathroom, they cannot wear pants and must live without any dignity. Mom has a mild concussion, but it's nothing serious. My dad had 2 porcelain crowns fitted. His brother went into a rage after being deeply shocked by the investigation. But the fact that he beat someone and caused serious injuries is indisputable. And he was sentenced to 8 years in prison. I thought my parents would hire the best lawyer to get my brother 2 fewer years in prison. But they just acted as if they didn't have a son. Oh, so they only realized how much it hurt after they got hurt. The college entrance exam is over, and I scored the highest in the science track. Lu Xingchen scored 1 point less than me. I grinned, showing my pearly white teeth. And he didn't seem upset at all. Just as much as mom and dad made fools of themselves at my brother's wedding last time, they're now smiling so happily at my college acceptance celebration. They've finally realized that I'm their only source of pride. After graduation, I took over my parents' company. I had originally planned to pack it all up and sell it as scrap to destroy the life's work my parents had built. But there was just too much money. And I still couldn't bring myself to do it. It's so comfortable just being a CEO. Liu Xinchen became a professor because, at a class reunion after the college entrance exams, when we were playing Truth or Dare, my classmates asked me what kind of person I liked. I couldn't help but blurt out, "I like the kind of guy who's a cultured bad boy like a professor." The students let out a scream. From then on, Liu Xinchen wore gold-rimmed glasses, and a white shirt became his standard outfit. That's so weird. Gu Jejia went crazy. I said at UPenn, then I had her committed to a mental hospital. My brother had a really hard time in prison. I hired a few big guys to take turns entertaining him every day. And in the end, he committed suicide by swallowing a toothbrush. They say he died in agony, muttering my name and saying strange things like rebirth. I've been thinking about how to arrange things so that my parents don't get their hands dirty, but still end up suffering. But in the end, they beat me to it. They were hit by a big truck as they were driving out, and both were seriously injured. I reassured the truck driver, "I know you didn't do it on purpose, and I know you've had a tough time. Your truck isn't insured, is it? Never mind. You don't have to pay for the damage. I'll fix it for you." Everyone calls me the most ethical businessman. I turned to the doctor and said, "Please donate any of my parents' usable airways, and donate their bodies as well." I was about to say something about doctors who can save lives, but the words were on the tip of my tongue when I swallowed them back. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. I would like to express my sincere gratitude on behalf of the patients who received assistance. I accept all the praise and honors with a smile. I deserve them all. As I stepped out of the hospital, I saw Liu Xinchen waving at me from behind the wheel of his new sports car. The weather is really nice today.